So what I've been thinking about is how like in 2022 to like grow the income value through the company and try to like keep growing that as much as possible. And then looking into a vehicle purchase through the company, take advantage of the tax benefits and then grow value in the company with assets.
If I'm understanding right, really you're just saying we've got some goals of things we want to do in order to increase the revenue of our company, and then things we want to do with that money, and then take advantage of or capture the value from that money. Like taking advantage of any tax benefits is always about just keeping more money that you've made already, right? Mm-hmm. I'll just give kind of an example of how I like view this from like a business perspective always. I have friends that are either sales leaders making quite a bit of money from like $500 to $1 million a year. And I know like people who are high net worth that make that, if not way more. When I have peers, or at least like I'm the same age as the guys that are making $500 to $1 million a year. The reason why I'm destroying them, if that was the metric you were using to see like who's winning this game, is there came a time when they started making enough that they started focusing more on how to keep the money they were making than on producing their ability to make more. And so over the long term, I will make hundreds of millions of dollars more than them because they too early started focusing on how to capture the value that they were providing rather than on how to produce more value. And the name of the game in any type of business situation or in any type of venture that involves making money, or really, if you think about it, put away money, any type of thing that involves impacting people, which is what I think you guys are really trying to do with your company. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You have a decision to make and you can't have both. You either have to scale your ability to create income or you have to capture as much of that profit as possible. And when you choose to capture profit, you inherently are deciding to not scale your ability to make more. That can also just be with your time focus. If I go focus my time and effort on multiple businesses, then I'm inherently choosing to not focus my time and effort on my core business. Everything that I do, I choose to make symbiotic to my core business because even the cost of my momentary focus means that I'm losing out on the core business. If you guys go choose to spend too much effort focusing on how you can take advantage of your tax situation, any ounce of energy you spend on trying to find out how to take advantage of your tax situation is an ounce of energy that you're not spending on growing your revenue capacity. And I'm not just talking about like you're losing out on dollars in the immediate. I mean your capacity to produce those dollars on a recurring basis over time. If you're really in the game of doing something cool, anyone that's in the game of doing that has to realize that they're just in the marshmallow test. And life right now is just coming to you and saying, so do you want to eat this marshmallow now? Or would you rather have 100 later?
Okay.
So then you have to really ask yourself, you guys are a video production team or content production team, right? Yeah. Which is like why like we hired you and you're really good at what you do. But you really have to ask yourself this hard truth is what I do easily replaceable at the same dollar value or less? In the immediate short term, I feel that it's a fair exchange of value. However, you just really have to ask yourself, like, if you died tomorrow, how easy would it be for me to find someone to produce? Because what is the product that I'm wanting to produce? It's my ability to scale my influence through content in a way that doesn't make it so I have to put too much of my own time in it. How easily replaceable is that if you died tomorrow? Frankly, I'm sure that I could find someone and coach them to do as what we're doing right now, if not much better. But that's also the goal of what we're doing, right? Is like, we're not gonna stay the same, we're gonna get better. Based on how easily replaceable you are at your current level, where should you put your time and focus? I would be putting my time and focus on creating a level of value that is increasingly irreplaceable. So if you came to me right now and you said, hey, I wanna go all into my business ventures, how much would I be begging you to stay as my editor? Regardless of my relationship with you, right? If you were to say, hey, I wanna go all into my business ventures, I think I'm gonna make more if I do that, I might say, okay, cool. You might feel that way, but based on how much I fight for you to stay, that would actually tell you how valuable you really are, right? Because I could easily go find, like, let's just say I lost my whole team, everyone died, including Morgan, who just walked in the room right now. How easy would it be for me to find all of those individual pieces and maybe even create a system that is like operates and functions better than what we currently are doing? Because for me, I know that like the value that I provide is irreplaceable simply because it's me doing it. So like you might say, well, yeah, but like Hayden couldn't have a podcast if he didn't have an editor. Well, that's true, but the value that I would be able to give to the world if I just found the right pieces is the same. It's not replaceable if I go away from the content, it's not the same anymore. It is 100% irreplaceable. That's always a question you just have to ask yourself is like, I'm in the marshmallow test and right now I always have the choice. Do I eat the marshmallow right now, and you can equate that to, do I capture the value that I have in front of me, or do I wait and capture way more value down the road? I make this choice all the time in like scaling our business. Do I make $2 million a year right now, or do I buckle down and not pay myself that and pay everyone else around me that, so that I have the capacity to make $10 million a year for forever if I want, or 50 or 100, right? Because I can't have both of those.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, if I try to have both of those, I will break myself against that law of the law of the harvest. Like, that's actually what the marshmallow test is the law of the harvest, essentially. Now, if you want to get into like tactics, what I would do if I were you guys is I would go create, think about like what the value that you're providing. Like, I essentially am your client, right? And actually you guys are also my client too, because to the extent that I'm not giving you value in exchange for the things you're looking to fill the needs of your life that you hired me for, right? That you chose to work with me for, then you'll choose to not let me serve you in the way that I do, or be a part of the things that I want you to be a part of. Yeah. So it kind of goes both ways. It's the mutual exchange of value. Everyone wants to like own the business where like everyone else is their clients and they get to kind of step back and they make a bunch of money and then they optimize that money and then they can have all the cool things that come with the tax advantages. Like, that's what everyone wants to do. It's a normal thing. But if I'm your client, what I would really do is focus on making it so that whatever value I am paying for in dollars, you're always front running the thing that you're giving me, and it just far exceeds like what I'm paying in the short term for that value. You could go say, like, if our quota is to make, you know, what did we say? Nine shorts a week. Yep. With a fully edited podcast and then 3 teaching shorts on top of that, right? So you could say, hey, Hayden, what would be most valuable to you right now? The immediate thing I would say is, the less time I have to spend on deciding and customizing how I do this, and then I just get the final product at the end, that is the ultimate value for me, is time. Second is the quality and the ability of that influence to be scaled. So better videos. The more videos that actually go viral and scale the message and an impact, better. So focusing on increasing the quality of that production. And then the third thing might be like focusing on your ability to give more output than what was determined or decided on. So if the quota was 12 and we decided that you can do that with your time, what if you got to the point where you said, hey, I know we were only going to do 12, but I actually found a way to do 14 without decreasing quality, and I'm increasing quality on these 2 per week. I have a plan on making a system to where I have these preset templates, and I even like coded my own graphics for this one thing that makes it easier for me to do this, and like, look at how much better the colors and the quality are. Oh, by the way, I was like actually doing research and I was looking at all these other templates and these other creators, and I found out that the commonality of the ones that are going viral that are actually along our same line of thinking or like our same message, they're doing these 3 things, and I already implemented them in all the ones this week. That would make it so that you are delivering an increasingly higher quality of value to your client, right? To your customer, which is what you're trying to do anyway if you're a business owner. And then if you did that, now you become more valuable. But let's say you did that, right? And you started making 14 shorts a week, and you got so ahead of everything, you're like, hey, I actually went back into all of your trainings that I found on YouTube, the ones that you even forgot about, and I made 10 shorts for all these trainings. And like, here, look at how good these are. And by the way, they're already scheduled. I'm like, geez, that's amazing. What would someone who's in the marshmallow test do if they were going to eat the marshmallow right there? Someone who's trying to capture their value in these short term, what would they do?
Probably stick to just delivering what we've already agreed upon.
Yeah, but now you're producing more value than what I'm paying for, though. Essentially, when I look at the people who take the marshmallow, they're like demonstrating some weird version of selfishness because they want the instant gratification. So let's just think about it this way. What would a selfish person do if they were delivering more value than what I was paying for? You'd want more money. So you'd say, hey, look at what I'm doing. I've done this for 2 weeks already. I think it's actually worth more. Here's my new stipulations. We don't have an agreement that extends for a period of time, and so I'd like to renegotiate, right? But what inherently would you be doing there? You're choosing to have the short term rather than saying, no, listen, I just know that if I provide value, it's not about the short term, it's about the long term. So what you might say is, you might say, hey, I have a way where I think this could be a win-win. And what we could start doing is we could monetize the content in a certain way. And all I would ask for is that if you feel like it's worth it, that you give me a kickback of that so that I can help in scaling that, because I feel like this is valuable, but it really only is valuable to the extent that it actually is. But if you went and renegotiated with me right there, and I would say, okay, you taking the marshmallow now makes it so that I now know you're the type of person that will renegotiate every time you feel like you're over delivering on value. And so what do you think I'm going to want to do in our long-term like relationship? I'm definitely not going to view that as something where like I can now trust that we can go build something together and then capture that value together over time, because I view it as a symbiotic relationship, right? Yeah. So I'm mostly pointing out that like you always have these decisions of like either eat the marshmallow now or have much more later. Especially when you're first starting out, you always are just making that choice. Like, how can I just, people call it bootstrap in startups, right? How can I bootstrap my business in a way that makes it so I'm delivering so much value that it cannot be denied? So much, like I'm over delivering always. And if you do that, this is called the law of compensation. And I believe that it's something that like exists, that again, you don't break the law of compensation, you break yourself against it and thinking that it works differently than it does. The law of compensation basically states that you will always be paid what you're worth, and what you're worth is the value that you bring to people's lives, right? You won't be denied it. If you go on for a year of over delivering value with me and I'm still paying for the same value that I originally signed up for, then you will actually end up leaving because you'll say, hey, no hard feelings or anything, but I believe that I proposed a win-win, and this is so much out of balance of a win-win for me that like we're gonna take our services elsewhere, or here's like the new negotiations. And by the way, this is how it benefits you if we renegotiate things. I'm just stating that like you can't go on for long over delivering value without that. It will catch up to you no matter what. I'm a sales leader, and if I provide so much value to the company that I work with, and then let's just say they refuse to over time pay me for that value or acknowledge it. If that is actual value I'm providing, someone will pay for that value. If it's not valuable, no one will pay for it. I might be able to convince people to pay me for it in the short term, but in the long term, it just won't. People will just stop. They'll figure it out, right?
Dude.
So, but this is one of those things where like, Tony Robbins says like, it's really, and this is in Think and Grow Rich too, he says it's not about whether you can get what you want, it's about asking and wanting the right things. Because you start to realize when you start to develop like an abundance mentality that you can have whatever you want. You just have to ask for it. You just have to ask how to do it. You could go with your business in a matter of 12 months, be making $50,000 to $100,000 a month. It's just a matter of asking if that's what you want, and then how to get it. So that's what I'm saying is like, based on what I know about you, you were just asking the wrong questions.
It blows my mind because like that absolutely solves the problem that I was having. This is exactly the same thing I would tell all of my employees whenever I was running the restaurant or that music store that I ran. Okay, like if you want raises, you want things like that, opportunities, you need to show me that through the value of your work. You're working harder and better and higher quality. The more you can do extra is gonna provide those opportunities and that monetary incentive as well.
It's the law of compensation. You can't be denied it. And whether you're gonna pay them or somebody else, it will always happen. The thing that most people lack is the ability to work. But the second thing that most people lack is the ability to ask whatever they want and believe that they can have it. There is a way. If your mind can conceive of an outcome by virtue of the fact that like we would not have evolved without that ability unless it was possible, then you can actually go get whatever you want.